We have two ages. We do not only have one, we have what is called chronological age and what is referred to as biological age. Chronological age is the age at which we cannot do anything. In other words, you were born in a year, and that is what your identity card states, and there it is, always moving forward, never backward, not even to gain momentum. Therefore, that age marks the time that has passed in our life on Earth, on the planet Earth. But then there is biological age. Biological age is the age of our cells. It is the age at which our cells are functioning physiologically, biochemically, and mentally. And here, this biological age can indeed be modified. Changes can be made in how our cells are functioning and how they will function in the future based on, for redundancy, certain stimuli. Look, many studies have been conducted regarding chronological age and biological age. In general, the average is that biological age is, on average, 10 years higher than chronological age. In other words, our cells are functioning. On average, they are 10 years older than what our identity cards indicate. Some may be just 2 years older, while others may be 15, but on average, they are functioning 10 years older than what is actually marked. The goal of anti-aging therapies and healthy longevity therapies is to bring biological age as close as possible to chronological age. This doesn't mean you enter an anti-aging clinic at 40 and come out at 18. Rather, it means that your cells function as closely as possible to your chronological age and not 10 years later. Do you see? Therefore, our goal will always be to bring this biological age as close as possible to the chronological age to make them as similar as possible. And how do we do this? Well, we have seen that with the genome, not yet. We still can't. Okay. Genes cannot be modified. However, we have seen that with epigenetics, the epigenome, we can indeed do things. We can indeed modify that epigenome, and we can create, well, different stimuli, okay? And now a new one appears. A new one appears, that is the ambiome. First there was the genome, then the epigenome appeared, and now, well, the triad, right. There is the ambiome. What is the ambiome? The ambiome is gaining more and more specific weight within aging and anti-aging therapies. The ambiome is the social environment, the psychological environment, and the emotional environment that surrounds a person and influences their aging. That is to say, it is not only important what we eat, which it is, but it is also not only important what we breathe. It is not only important what we supplement with, but also our social environment and our professional family environment, because depending on how these are, our aging process can also be accelerated. In other words, we need to be careful about what we do, as it's not just about what we consume, but also whether we are doing what we love in life and surrounding ourselves with people we like so that we don't age. Well, this has been called ambiome, and there we can make changes to improve that environment. In short, current anti-aging therapies focus heavily on what is referred to as psychoneuroimmunoendocrinology. That is to say, this union between all the concepts of the psyche, emotions, the neurological or nervous system, the hormonal system, and the immune system. That is to say, with these three coordination systems of our entire organism. So there, Pinel, psychoneuroimmunology, takes on a very, very, very important role. Well, let's see what we can do with epigenetics, how we can improve, and what we can do. Epigenetics, until the year 1944 to 45, was historically believed to only grandparents, and parents passed down genes to us, and that was it. They didn't pass down anything else. Until a study about Dutch mothers appeared in 1944 to 45, during which there was a moment of famine, and 30,000 people died. The caloric intake dropped from notice, from 900 kilocalories to 700 kilocalories, right. And well, that's it. The people died, but what happens? They realized that later on, the mothers who had been pregnant and the grandmothers who had been pregnant with those children, that is, not just the mothers, the grandchildren and the children, the subsequent generations, had more respiratory pathologies, had more asthma, were children with lower birth weight, in such a way that they saw that not only is genetic information passed down to us, but also functional information about our cells based on what has happened even in our grandparents, even though we did not exist as a project on this planet. Therefore, what our family does is influencing us from the perspective of cellular function. What we eat is very, very important. Currently, the diet is very, very unbalanced, as we know, in Western countries. And one of the major problems we currently have is the problem caused by carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, that is, sugars and flours, such as those commonly known as glucose and wheat flour, they produce spikes of insulin, that is, spikes of hyperglycemia. And this is very important since insulin spikes cause many consequences. One of them is the significant alteration in hormonal responses. It causes our hormonal responses to change, not our hormonal concentrations, but our responses, in such a way that we can have adequate hormone levels, meaning that they conduct a good analysis and everything is perfect. Now, the response to those hormones is different. This has been observed a lot with sex hormones, in diets high, in sugars, where there are high levels of insulin in the blood. There is a greater response to estrogen receptors, even with the same concentrations of estrogens in the blood. But, of course, this is not the only factor. It also causes what is called inflammation. Insulin, apart from being a storage hormone, activates lipogenesis, makes us gain weight, and is not a movement hormone, as it not only activates lipogenesis, but also produces inflammation. It is a hormone that releases or causes the release of pro-inflammatory eicosanoids and leukotrienes, and therefore we start to generate inflammation processes. There are different types of inflammation. There is the process of acute inflammation, which can become chronic, but there is also what is called hidden inflammation. This hidden inflammation is an inflammation that does not kill you, but has many consequences. One of them is a process of aging. Why? Because all inflammations generate oxidations, and they are very pro-oxidative. Therefore, a person who is inflamed has a high oxidative load. And this is very important to consider in diet, because we will need to see which foods can be consumed in processes where insulin is altered, even if we believe there are no inflammatory processes.